You had what? drama 佢唔係 cancel 咗咩？啊？有 bingo 係電話嗰個。睇下哥哥 bingo 係電話嘅。啊 bingo 係點樣玩啊？ Get it out of yourself? Figure it out myself.
We have gone through just a small part of your list of things that need money spent on education. Childcare, we talked about school buildings, we have no time to talk about special education needs, which I know you're doing something about today, but there is also pressure to spend more on schools in general. So why is your Prime Minister and Chancellor talking about yet more tax cuts? Where will the money come from for education if the Tories are re-elected? If you're spending millions of pounds on a shocking and dramatic. This happened at about 1:30 local time, which is about 5:30 UK time, and it appears that a container ship was actually flagged in Singapore, Dala, which was heading towards Sri Lanka. It's 300 metres long, hit the bridge, and then it appears the entire bridge has absolutely collapsed. Now it falls into the water below. It's being described by the authorities as a massive casualty event, which gives you an idea of how seriously they're taking this. We're told that the Logan computing developing picture that 7 people potentially have gone into the water, along with none but the vehicles. And the Baltimore County Chief has asked people to pray for those who've been involved in this.
And the search for them would have happened under darkness, given the time of this.
Absolutely. and the search operation is continuing. It's being led by the fire service, but also given the fact we're talking about water here, the Coast Guard is also heavily involved. And this is a major bridge in the area. It's 1.6 miles long. It's a 4-lane bridge, which gives you an idea of how much traffic it is. We're told more than 11 million vehicles a year, so a major part of the transport infrastructure. People in the area have been asked to keep away. But those pictures, which have been played now on TV channels right around the world, extremely dramatic. A ship hitting the bridge, and you actually see the moment where that whole bridge comes down into the water.
It is or was striking architecturally in its length and its design.
Yeah, it was actually finished in 1977, and it was built to be a major part of the transport infrastructure in the area. Now, the local mayor, Brandon Scott, so he is being kept aware of the latest developments, and he's actually heading down to the scene himself, really to try to take in what has happened and to see what support the emergency services might need. But as I say, a mass casualty event here, so it gives you a sense of how serious an incident this is.
Simon, thank you very much. We can actually go to the scene now, and we're joined from there by Ken Duffy from WBAL Radio. Ken, what can you tell us? What can you see?
Well, quite frankly, we can't see a whole lot right now because it is still in the middle of the night, practically. We're waiting for the sun to rise to kind of get an assessment of where we are at here. We've seen plenty of video of what had happened. It is a tragic scene, no doubt about it. But we are told officially on the ground from local fire departments that at least 7 people were in the water at the time of this collapse, and that a large container ship named the Dolly hit a support beam that triggered this domino effect and triggered the entire span collapse. But we do not know how many vehicles actually went into the water yet. But as we said, we know that at least 7 people are in there that they're trying to rescue, but they still need to assess the situation until as the sun comes up so they can see exactly how many other people could be in there. So it's a very fluid situation. We're waiting for many other officials to come down here as well. You said the mayor is coming down yet. The governor of the state of Maryland will be here as well. This is as you can see, I mean, it's a global story now. I mean, it's just a dramatic scene here. We're as close as we can get to the stand, but we're still trying to get as much information as we can about it.
Ken, what is it like for cargo vessels and other vessels travelling down the river and passing under this bridge? Is there a point at which their height is checked?
Well, this is just an area where they pass through. I mean, we have plenty of ports here in Baltimore, here on the east coast of the United States, where ships are coming in and out of here on a 24-hour basis. So we were told by the Baltimore City Fire Department that this container ship is heading outbound. So in essence, it was heading out to do its delivery and such, and it hit this span. We don't know the circumstances surrounding it, what exactly was going on with the operators at the time. There's just so little we know right now, aside from the fact that this span is gone. It is completely gone. We don't even have to see right now that it's gone. We just know it's gone. We're as close as we can get to it on one of the sides of the bridge. It's a town called Dundalk, Maryland, which is right by Baltimore City. This area, by the way, just to give you a reference, is about an hour away from Washington, D.C. as well. So this is a regional bridge that many people use here to commute on a daily basis. So it's a huge loss as far as the possible lives of the world. Yet, but it's a massive loss on a massive scale for this entire region.
Ken Duffy from WBAL Radio. Thank you very much for joining us from the scene. And the latest that we're hearing from the Baltimore City Fire Department is that as many as 20 workers are believed to have fallen into the Patapsco River following the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge. There's more developments right now on the BBC News website.
Yeah, dramatic news, dramatic description, and if you do go to the BBC News app on your phone, your computer, or the website, on your laptop or computer, you'll really offer the just image of the really, really historical culture. So coming up to now, it's time for the sport.
Nick, well, no question, Wales against Poland in Cardiff is tonight's big match, a European Football Championships playoff final. Wales seeking a third consecutive appearance in the tournament. So both won their semi-finals impressively. Wales, well, they have no advantage this evening.
our supporters are massive in getting to school properly out the other day, and when they're on again Tuesday, let's use it to our benefit and get us across the line.
That was Wales manager Rob Page. There's no underestimating the volume of the energy of Wales' passionate support. It's also been endorsed by former Wales international Robert Earnshaw.
Wales at home is very, very different to Wales away. I don't know why. Shouldn't be the case, but it is. I think it just shows the power.
Because I know that as part of this process, the CPS went to 4 rather than the stated 3 psychiatrists, and they all had the same conclusion, which is what led to this. And forensic psychotherapists and psychiatrists say that the intent to kill can be created by what they call a web of psychotic beliefs and distorted thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. We've never said that we dispute he's mentally unwell. We've never disputed his condition that was recognised back in 2019. What there has been is clear history of epic failures to treat that condition, to manage it appropriately. This is somebody who, despite not having a record and a profile, the only reason he didn't have a record or profile, the police didn't arrest him for the outstanding evidence, but there were also well-documented serious violent attacks that were escalating over many years. So this is a dangerous person. This is somebody who is unwell. However, the way he carried out the attacks, the planning that went into it, has unanswered questions that we still have in investigation. We don't dispute his mentally ill, we don't dispute his paranoid, but we do dispute without culpability and that he was committed.
Emma Webber, father of Barnaby, who was 19 when his life was cut short. Thank you very much.
Now 18 minutes to 9. After months of debate, months of discussion at the United Nations, the Security Council has now finally voted for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, a vote made possible by the decision of the United States not to veto the resolution. Noteworthy as well, though, was the decision of the UK to vote for that immediate ceasefire, rather than as it has up till now to abstain from the vote. Britain's position is shifting, just as the United States' position is shifting. Let's reflect on that now with Lord Darren, Kim Darren, former British ambassador to the United States, and formerly David Cameron's UK National Security Advisor, when Mr. Cameron, he then was Prime Minister, of course. Lord Darren, good morning to you.
Good morning, Nick.
More to talk about Biden shifting policy. Should we be talking more about Cameron shifting British policy too?
I think David Cameron has shifted British policy. I think it's actually been a process that has been running for several weeks. I think that he has defined this as an issue where he can have some influence. He knows Netanyahu, and where our previous policy felt a bit passive, a bit understated. And I think he thinks it's the right thing to do, because you've had 32,000, according to Hamas, Palestinians killed since the Israeli ground operation started, and all the aid experts say there is a real risk of serious famine amongst the refugees in Gaza. So it's a moment to do what he's been doing, to toughen up the rhetoric, ratchet it up, and to vote in the way that he did in New York yesterday.
Not just the rhetoric, is it? Because the British government position used to be to call for what they called an immediate humanitarian pause. Now they're voting for an immediate ceasefire without a direct link, an explicit link to the release of
That is right. That is one of the shifts in this language in this UN resolution. The other being that there is no language at this time on a condemnation of the Hamas attacks on the 7th of October. So it is a different text, and it is therefore, as you say, a shift that we are now supporting it, and a shift that the Americans didn't veto it, but they only went as far as an abstention. So this is definitely a toughening up of UK and US positions, no question.
Could you see it going further? We're told that there's quite a big team now of lawyers at the Foreign Office looking into whether Israel is breaching international law in that failure to deliver or to allow the delivery of international aid. If, and I know it's quite a big if, but if it were the case that the Foreign Office concluded that with breach of international law, that could be
suspension of arms sales and other consequences. We're not big arms sellers to Israel. I think there's about 400 million worth of mostly spares for cookies what the Israelis already have. But I think Canada has moved recently to suspending arms sales from Israel. I think it's an active subject of discussion in Parliament and in the media. I think that might be the next step. Certainly Holland as well as that Israel's right to pass legislation would be a logical place to go response to it. But we're not quite there yet. And I suspect that if you ever do this, you'd like to common with the other countries, the Council of Canada, obviously we want that.
Now, the Berkeley Ultramarathon Intimacies takes up 5 weeks of off trail course, 20 miles each, and a requirement to complete the 100-mile total in 60 hours in more than 30 years. That has been up and running, only 20 people have ever done it with it, and all of them until Jasmine Harris came from Electric University of Edinburgh, a 40-year-old. She's got 2 children, each 6 and 3, and she achieved it a few days ago, having the first one ever to complete. She lives in Midlothian, and I spoke to her a short time ago and seen how it all feels.
So that I believe that actually, a few days later, and the kind of outgoing messages that I received was this fantastic, get really overwhelmed.
Speed ultramarathon.
It does become surprising as well, there's kind of the usual blisters and swollen parts of that, obviously, a lot of scratches, kind of bleeding scratches all around my legs. But yeah, and generally I feel pretty good, so hopefully it won't last too long.
Scratches, are they from the terrain? Does this involve running along a path or going through forest, bushes?
It's very much kind of wild terrain, so it's very steep. It's like walk on trees and kind of sort of stand up and slide back down. Most of the hill kind of covered, but then there's also a lot of driers and really thick gravel with very big balls and it's kind of like kind of slice and track on the floor. There's also I can't count the levels which create a kind of the road going through.
What's the hardest stage?
It's basically the last thing I have less time to do that I have mostly, so I do know stages that. And I always felt really awful that I couldn't even go down the road between 4 and 5. So I just bring back up again. So it's kind of going out the road, you were sort of asking for a bit of work on it, going into the last bit, and I felt tired of trying to go out on my own. I went up during the last bit of the road, so very much of the road, and I very down the road. Probably the kind of the biggest doubt came in the last kilometre when I had only a few minutes to go, and I knew that I was going to have to sprint to the gate, and at that point I was desperate to stop. I think that was one of the kind of the major doubt was at that point. But then I was just so happy when I actually made it back. I made up to touch the gate and kind of collapsed there, gasping for air. It was an amazing feeling.
It's an extraordinary feat of endurance and to see a human being put themselves through this. You're the first woman ever to complete it in the allotted time. Did you have to eat or drink as you moved? Was there no rest at all for the 3 days?
There's not time in the drink distance at all, so I think I had like my head back for maybe a minute or 2 minutes between the fourth and fifth move as I was sitting in the chair, but there was no other sleep. And the food, you kind of tried to eat something more substantial when you were between at least like pasta or porridge or something. But when I was out on the course, I was eating things like flapjack and sweets and tried to eat savoury things. So it gets really hard to swallow things, your mouth is very dry. So it's always a challenge to keep eating, even though that's what you really need to do.
What does it do to your mind when you're sleep deprived for that length of time and knowing somewhere in the back of your mind you've got to push yourself like this?
Well, I was just really focused to get to the end. And this year I really went there knowing that I wanted to finish. So the sleep wasn't such an issue. I did have some hallucinations as I was going along. Saw quite a few people wearing black anoraks in the forest, so we just got distance ahead of it. It looked like I saw a whole family of people in kind of black anoraks standing, looking slightly sinister in the rain, and quite a lot of animals in the picked up wood turned into animals, pigs and wild lions and that sort of thing. But yes, so I did hallucinate, but not as much as I have in the past actually. I think that was just because I was so focused and having to kind of drive to finish, and my adrenaline levels were really so high, but it kept me going.
Would you do it again, Jasmine, or something like this, or do you think now you've ticked this off and you can perhaps go down a notch to easier things?
I definitely very much I'm quite enjoying the thought of just running in our local hills with friends in daylight and not forcing myself to do reps for 9 hours at a time, which is what I've been doing over the last few months in training. I think at some point I'm going to want to do kind of big things like this again. I've got an entry for the Tour de Gio in September, which is a kind of a non-stop race through the Italian mountains, which is also, you get very sleep deprived on that as well. It's a huge amount of ascent for that one, so that'll be a next big challenge like this. But yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to a little bit of a rest there.
Jasmine Paris.
A little hum from the audience.
Yeah. It's the correct noise.
Yes, it is. Good for radio. Tim Anderson.
Well, for me, I think the best gifts are the things from somewhere where you used to live or somewhere that's special to you where you don't live anymore. You can't get to very easily. So for me, obviously, that's stuff from Wisconsin that I miss. Like, in particular things like Sprecher root beer, old Dutch dill pickle crisps, and Velveeta mac and cheese. We have a saying about Velveeta. Would you like to hear it?
Yes, Tim, I'd like to hear it.
It's not real cheese, but it's real good cheese.
There's a thing about that in America.
Yeah.
Cheese.
Right.
Annie Gray.
The best, or one of the best gifts I was ever given was I gave a talk, years and years ago, and as part of this talk I showed a picture of a stuffed pig's head, Victorian dish, supposed to replicate a boar's head, Victorian tourism. So they used to make it for pigs, and they used to use fortunes of these pig's heads to make them look realistic. So I talked about this, and I said, well, we made this one. I didn't send boar tusks, all I had was potatoes, so we made stuffed potato, and I sort of off the cuff went, if anyone has any boar tusks, New Zealand has loads of wild boar. They're a real problem, and they're shot, and it looks like rabbits up here. So after the talk, he said, are you sure? Yeah, next day, there's some strange plastic containers full of boar tusks, and I'm still using them. And that was the best one.
So, whatever you do about it, don't touch your any more water. She's repeat. Yes.
But I could do with a stuffed pig.
Okay, that's fine.
On a stick, every time.
If anyone is listening wants to email phd.co.uk, a pigeon on a stick. Let's take our first question from Sarah Hewitt.
I'm pregnant.
The explanation is a lovely story. It does raise a question. And the question it raises is, can you find a recipe like Sarah, what is it you're sacrificing to that? Oh, right. Okay. So now you've got a key. And
Well, there's two things. If you can, you just call with me. All the time. Show me. I just see ladies with pink punches and everything. Shutting and chewing everything like they're just cooking really quickly with loads of garlic, loads of chili, and then loads of mushroom everything. Delicious. And then last night, I had a crispy kale chopped with butter. And the kale was dipped in sort of chickpea batter, and then it was finished with sort of toasted cashews and
tried so far, so I would suggest that you go with it.
I've tried it.
I never realised kale was wanted there. It's really good for making takeaway style Chinese seafood. The key is, once it's been dried and cooked by the far deep fry, I actually in my air fryer, you must season it like you do any other food. So you season it with a combination of salt and sugar. If you're in a takeaway FSG. But just salt and sugar, a pinch of salt and a pinch of sugar on a whole bag of crispy kale is amazing.
Sarah, I hope that makes you fall in love with your crop.
Thank you very much.
You're listening to the Kitchen Cabinet, which today comes from Edgware in North London. I mentioned the Jewish Festival of Purim at the start of the programme, and I'm joined now by Jonathan Grudzinski of the eponymous Much-Loved Grudzinski Bakery here in Edgware. Welcome, Jonathan. You've now retired from the bakery, your family ran for generations, but Purim must have been a pretty busy time of year for you. Tell us what it entails for those who don't.
Well, the history of it goes back 2,500 years to the Persian king Ahasuerus, who was persuaded by his chief minister Haman to condone the massacre of all the Jews in this huge empire. And on the day chosen to adopt, what is Purim. The Queen, Esther, told Ahasuerus that she was Jewish and begged for her life and the life of all her compatriots. And although the law was not rescinded, Jews were allowed to fight back. And on the day, the 4th of Adar this month, there was a miraculous victory and the Jews were saved. And since then, every Purim, we read the scroll of Esther, we give charity to the poor, we exchange food gifts with friends, and we have a family meal.
I do love the fact, I'm Jewish as well, that there was potential massacre and now there's food as a result. That's about traditional foods for the festival. What are they?
Hamantaschen, which you have on your table there.
So explain what those are.
They are three-cornered, almost three-cornered, biscuits or Danish pastries. The English traditional filling is sweetened poppy seed. And in more recent years, chocolate or jam, other communities make all of how hard, whatever you have. As long as it's three-cornered.
Do we know where the three corners comes from? All right. Is there a rabbi in the audience? No. That's just a question you always ask me to find out. What do you find? How are they? So would you go through sort of trends over the year? You like those more of those this year? Or were there certain that were always very Okay. Is it just one question or is it or are there others?
There are some items as well. The meal will start the meal with a challah, sweet bread, which may have raisins in it, and it will be washed over with a wash and then dredged with hundreds of flour.
So it turns out from being a savoury bread to being a sweet bread. Absolutely. Like marvelous thing. I mean, do we have any Hamantaschen parallels to British historic bakery?
Well, the obvious one in terms of the giving of pastries at the festival is the Pie Christmas. But I would say the nearest thing I could find is there are some people. Their name is three-cornered Gospels. No one knows where they come from. There was significant Jewish population in Coventry from the 12th century onwards. There may be crossover. On the other hand, normally they're associated with Holy Trinity. So probably not. But they have three corners and they're often filled with either mincemeat or jam or preserved fish. So that's a tradition.
Between bakeries that you make for their Hamantaschen.
Well, we make
question about that. Fair enough. I mean, I was hoping you'd be able to both that. Tim, are you an admirer of fruit trees or tarts? Oh, who isn't? But what's the difference between a tart and a pie?
It's hard to overstate just how much of a transformation this is. A year ago, Chris was saying exercise is bad. He didn't even think it's a good subject for this series. Now he seems to be it's achievable stuff that I can absorb into my life in a practical way, and I quite enjoy it. I feel like that. So, yeah, let's do that. Well, I feel much better because I'm doing some exercise, so I literally feel good. But that doesn't mean you were right. You were right. You might not have caught that, so let me just repeat it. I was right. And of course, this is the most important conclusion. But it is also great news for Chris's health. He has 2 young boys, and maybe this will make being a dad a little easier. All I do is press-ups, sit-ups, chin-ups, lunges, squats, and bridges. That's 16, all I do. And they're all incredibly simple, and I generally do them under 4 minutes. And I've just been taking that pill now for several months, and I'm not in pain. My back doesn't hurt. I can carry Lyra around, I can carry Sasha around my shoulders. And previously when I carried Sasha on my shoulders, I used to feel the injury in my back. Now I carry Sasha on my shoulders, and I feel like it's a strength exercise. And he's not just making his muscles stronger, he's helping his bones, his tendons and ligaments, his brain and his heart. There are so many benefits to what he's doing. So the most important thing was doing something achievable. And I think that's where I started. I didn't start by going, I want to exercise. I started by going, okay, I will do 1 press-up. This is a thorough examination with Doctors Chris and Son, and it's the final episode of our series, Activity Revolution. That's what I think. You can hear how, after just a few months of his new exercise routine, which isn't that extreme, Chris is sounding rejuvenated and stronger and more positive. Something in the way he thinks about himself has really changed. Our sense of identity is a crucial part of making any change in our lives. Often it's the barrier to change. And so I wanted to speak to someone who can help unpack this issue. Hey man, how's it going? Good. I haven't seen you since the stag do. Is that true? Yes. Oh no, since the wedding. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, there was the format of the wedding. Yeah, Ryan McKay is a dear friend. He's also Chris's brother-in-law. And more importantly, he's a professor of psychology at Royal Holloway University. You and I, Ryan, have talked about exercise and fitness for the last, more than a decade since I first met you. And I think part of that comes from the fact, and tell me if I'm wrong here, that our other brother-in-law, Jim, is ostentatiously fit and healthy. Yeah. Extravagantly chiseled. He looks like he models surfboards or something. Yeah, it's not on really. I've always looked to you for comfort as my brother-in-law who sort of is like me. I felt unashamed, whereas if I was just stand next to you at the beach, I think it's just a disgrace. Whereas if you're there, not that you don't look good, I'm trying to take it as a compliment. No offense, man. Can you just tell me where you are at the moment with Fitness Nest?
Yeah, well, I'm doing pretty well at the moment, actually. I mean, I was, yeah, maybe not holding up my end of the field with your brother-in-law pack. For me, it was partly a reaction to Zahn's stag do, actually. At the stag, there were all these chiseled TV presenter types, so I came back and I was like, I've got to sort my life out. So I started to hit the gym a bit since then, and it's actually been going pretty well.
I feel like fascinated and also disappointed. Like, I feel like I was on a different stage. But it is funny, though, when you say it's going really well, I do have an anxiety response. Not I don't want you to be fit and healthy. But part of my kind of brother-in-law identity with you is like, we're not fit and healthy ones, and you're my ally in that. Tell me what's happened, like, what have you been doing, and what's changed in your head?
I've just kind of kept it going since then. I'm trying to go to the gym every second day. Yeah, I mean, nothing very impressive or anything, but I guess I am trying to rejig the way I think about myself, and I'm trying to think about myself as the kind of person who goes to the gym.
That's the switch that many of us wish we could put in our minds. Think of ourselves as a different kind of person. For me, I was really tired of being the kind of person who just liked watching TV with a takeaway, but it's not easy to make these sorts of changes, or we'd all just do it. Now, Ryan usually works on the psychology of belief, and earlier last year, he'd been working on a grant proposal paper to study political identities. He showed it to Chris. Now, the paper spoke to me in some really profound way. How I read it was that our beliefs and our behaviours or our actions and our identities are all extremely linked and may even be all exactly the same thing. And I think that
We've done now. Okay. So here's my thing. You started out this series annoying me. It felt like you joined a cult. I now joined a cult. Like, all new cult members.
he's taking over the cult. It's an extreme faction of the cult.
What I think we should do in 1 month's time, we're going to be able to do 10 chin-ups. There you go. See that there on the ground? That.
Like 10 chin-ups continuous.
What? No, like one a day for 10 chin-ups over the course of a month.
It would be hard. No, but you did 5 and then grow up. I don't think I can do that. That plan has worked, and the tables have turned again. You've been listening to A Thorough Examination with Doctors Chris and Simon. The producer is Tom Wolfen. The series editor is Joe Roundtree. It's a Van Tullochen Brothers and Loftus Media production for BBC Radio 4. Alright, go. I'm leaving. Okay, bye. Bye. Bye.
This is BBC Radio 4, where the final edition of Law in Action is in a few minutes. Joshua Rosenberg will be joined by Lady Chief Justice Baroness Carr and Lord Panic Casey.
Let's focus on you. Make yourself comfortable, clear your mind, and take a slow, deep breath in. 2, 3, 4, and out. 2, 3, 4. And again, using the music as your guide. To help you find a moment for yourself, join me, Izzy Judd, and our meditation guides as we tackle everything from stress to gratitude. Music and Meditation Podcast. Listen on BBC Sounds.
BBC News at 4 o'clock. Authorities in the US city of Baltimore say they received a mayday from an out-of-control ship before it smashed into a bridge which collapsed. They say the warning allowed them to stop traffic crossing the Francis Scott Key Bridge, saving lives. A number of construction workers were on the metal bridge fixing potholes when it fell into the Patapsco River. 2 people were rescued and divers are searching for 6 others. Jenny Krause was working a night shift at a warehouse close by when it happened.
I really ran him up. I went over there, and if there was anything, it was gone. The whole bridge. It was like there was nothing there. And I started recording, and I was like, I can't believe this. It's a shocking sight to see because you lived your whole life here, and you've seen this thing your entire life, and then one day you go outside and it's not there.
The WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange will have to wait 3 more weeks to find out if he'll be extradited to the United States after the High Court told US authorities to provide assurances about how he'll be treated. Judges want to know that he won't face the death penalty, his right to free speech will be protected, and that he won't be prejudiced because he's an Australian citizen. The Minister Assange is wanted for disclosing secret military files. The 45-year-old man who travelled almost 500 miles from Dundee to Glastonbury to stab an elderly widower he'd never met before has been given an indefinite hospital order. Bristol Crown Court heard how James O'Connor, who has schizophrenia, killed Frederick Burge after hearing voices telling him to do it. The BBC is to explore changing the licence fee. Director General Tim Brady says any reforms needed to be careful and cautious, and he rejected the idea of subscription service. North Korea's state TV channel has broadcast the BBC programme Alan Titchmarsh's Garden Secrets, but with the presenter's trousers blown out. The show was censored as jeans are banned in the communist state because they're considered a symbol of Western imperialism. BBC.
This is Radio 4, where a good read is in half an hour. Among today's picks is the novel Invisible Cities by Italo Calvino. It was first published in 1972 and it treats the reader to 55 different fictional reincarnations of events. Reading of this novel will tell us why what appeals to him at 4:30. First on Radio 4, Law in Action. The programme is coming to an end. So here's Joshua Rosenberg with a farewell edition.
Hello. It was in 1984 I presented the first edition of Law in Action here on Kingham's book was attached to court, won part of their case before Justice Bridewell, lost hands down in the Court of Appeal. This week they've been airing their case before the High Court of Appeal.
Just jump from the fact of mass picture to the necessary elements that almost every minor will commit a criminal offence while they're there. That's simply not right.
Starts in bed with a bridesmaid. That's bad. Proposed once, and you want a divorce straight away. Well, no chance of it.
To go to court, have to prove spouses were exceptionally depraved. It's not something that encourages good relationships.
What's changed in the law over the past 30 years? What can we expect in the future? That's what I'll be asking my distinguished guests and the new generation of young citizens in this farewell edition. Baroness Carr of Walton-on-the-Hill is the first woman ever appointed to lead the judiciary of England and Wales. 6 months into the job, she agreed to give her first interview as Lady Chief Justice to Law in Action. It's 40 years since she began studying law, and we discussed some of the landmark developments since then. First though, asked Lady Carr about a lecture she delivered last week at the invitation of the Fellowship Trust, support young people seeking a career at the criminal bar. Being a judge, Chief Justice said, more important than knowing the law, it needs moral courage.
Judging isn't just about applying the law, it's about making sure that we are absolutely committed to our judicial oath, that we are absolutely immune to any pressure, direct, indirect, covert or overt. And moral courage means making the right decision according to the law, whether it's popular with the executive, with Parliament, or the public. None of that matters. What matters is getting the answer right by reference to the law.
You've done 6 months. You have several years ahead of you. What are your priorities?
My priorities lie in 3 broad areas. The first is recognising and promoting our strengths, communicating the work that we do, the vital role that the judiciary plays in the administration of justice and the importance of the administration of justice. It's very important for me to make sure that people understand as far as possible that a successful, thriving, effective administration of justice means that all areas of life are impacted. So it's health, education, thriving businesses. The second area is building judicial unity, bringing the judiciary together, increasing cross-deployment, and of course fostering a truly inclusive atmosphere and environment for judges to work in. And the third is as important, it's the very important question of efficiency, maintaining quality and improving timeliness, and of course addressing the backlogs.
There must be things that worry you, that keep you awake at night.
Adequate resourcing, adequate funding for the judiciary is a daily concern. We really do need proper resourcing, both in terms of retention and recruitment of judges, in terms of the estate, in terms of morale, but also as fundamental is getting the money to have adequate days so that we can do and get through the work that we are capable of doing with what is now a pretty high pre-COVID
of numbers in most jurisdictions, not all, but in most. Backlogs worry me, of course. Performance is a very important issue. That is something that keeps me awake. But I wouldn't want you to leave this conversation with a sense that I am always worrying. There are lots of things to celebrate and lots of exciting things going on at the same time.
One of your responsibilities is to hear the most serious criminal appeals, and you gave a lecture recently about reform to the criminal justice system.
See if you can remember them. So my first one is 5th of March 2013. Any guesses?
No.
You opened inside the Supreme Court your interview with Lord Neuberger, and you opened with these words: in a broadcasting first, we are going to cross-examine the UK's most senior judge in his own court. And I loved that because it was such a moment of transparency and openness, and you had a terrific conversation. And then the other one that I picked out was the one on the 14th of October 2014 when you were celebrating 30 years of Law in Action. Do you remember that one?
I do remember that. We had Baroness Hale.
Yes.
I remember we had Keir Starmer,
Yes.
former Director of Public Prosecutions. Don't know what happened to him.
No idea.
And who was the third person?
Lord Judge.
Sad who died, former Lord Chief Justice.
And you asked them about the most significant legal development. And I think
我不要去Aldi 嗰度買水果嗰個。
that meant Lord Judge couldn't have the same topic. So he went for the Constitutional Reform Act, and Lady Hale argued that it was the combination of measures by which the law now protects and promotes equality and afforded everyone the same rights.
What's changed in the past?
你今日點啊？嗰個 bingo，
Elizabeth Butler Sloss,
個 bingo 點樣玩啊？嗰個？
So basically,
Oh.
we each have a piece of paper.
Oh.
Each row has 5 numbers. There are 3 rows. The number generated is 1 is 90 and below. So basically, 1 and 2, a number between 1 and number 2. And on the first game, Daniel spotted
Daniel what?
1 and 8.
Daniel 1 and 8 bingo 咁啊？
During the break, after the break, Daniel won another house, and then I won another, and then I won the third game.
The marriage same-sex couples act in 2013.
有冇人冇贏喎？有冇人贏到嗰個？有冇人冇贏到啊？嚇？個個都有啊？
Not everyone has
Okay.
but some other tables have literally no one but one person.
Okay. Also on the hill, you have first in as we'll be hearing more from Lady Clark at the end of the program. I left Law in Action in 1987 to concentrate on my day job as the BBC's personal affairs correspondent, returning on children. In the meantime, Law in Action has visited by John Peter now, and Sir Bernard and Connie Coleman. But it's turned out that this episode was in 1981 as the BBC producer for the Times of the Bank until then. She allowed me to use private program, meaning Law in Action, so long as I could film the city presenter. Eventually, because the embarrassing was already made himself, both developed themselves from it, and the podcast took going. I still have the paperwork. Have a look at that.
Oh, that looks like my handwriting. It is. What is it? It's the script from 1981. This is pre-Law in Action days. This is when really historic. Exactly so. This is when you were going to do the pilot program. My reaction is that both of us, Joshua, made the correct career decision.
Lord Canning, Casey, is regarded now as the most successful lawyer of his generation practicing in his chosen area of the law.
As you say, we invited you to the 30th program for Law in Action in 1981. Do you remember it? I remember it very well. You were very polite, very understanding, and you explained to me at the end of it that perhaps
Yes,
入唔入去啊？陣間爸爸嗌哥哥，呢個喺晒邊邊啊？
But it was unsatisfactory for a member of the appellate committee to be a practicing politician, a member of the legislature. It was a real achievement by their government to create the Supreme Court and to find the Chancellor to his specific functions. The consequence, of course, has also been that there's been a loss in the cabinet of a very senior figure who understands the system and who can explain to his or her colleagues the need for adequate funding of the legal system, that is, solicitors, counsel, the courts, so that the legal system can operate effectively.
Don't panic, Casey. Like most of us, he wasn't taught law at school. Very few youngsters
你仲有冇肚痛啊之類啲咁啊？冇有冇嘔啊？
established to help students
哥哥
understand the role that law plays in everybody's lives. The Young Citizens Town Hall operates a program for schools called the Big Lesson. This month I dropped in on a class of 14 to 15-year-olds at Trinity Academy in Brixton. Their teacher is Twitter Fletcher Brenda.
Nice, so this is really exciting.
呢個 health club 嚟嘅，又可以游水，但係佢冇游水堂。
So here is what we're going to be doing today. We're going to look at what the rule of law is. We're going to identify how it impacts your daily life. We're going to examine who is responsible for making and changing the law. Okay. Describe a change you would like to make to the law and identify what actions you take to make your voice heard. And think about, do you think each of these are of equal importance, or do you think that there is one aim of the rule of law that is more important than the other?
I think that limiting the power of the government is the most important because when you look at other countries that don't have these levels.
I chosen The Red Heart by Maggie Nelson, autobiography of the trial. And it's about her aunt who died in 1969. She was murdered. And Maggie never knew her aunt. And the book really goes on a brilliant odyssey to discover who she was and the trial that emerges 35 years later. I think what I particularly love about it is that this aunt that she never knew, Jane Nixon, has become kind of mythologized within the family. There's something about this approach to somebody that she doesn't know that has suffered something so traumatic, that has traumatized the family for generations, that I find really, really compelling. But also our contemporary obsession with true crime emerges in the book too. So it's both Maggie's relationships around his murder, but also looking at our sort of society's curiosity and interest in true crime. So we'll just stop with The Red Heart by Maggie Nelson.
Murder mind she got from physical case and from diaries of her own. I think after a while you sort of get your own very small version of murder minds. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting but kind of harrowing, and not necessarily the thing I would normally read. But yeah, I did.
I have to say, I really enjoyed it too. It sounds a perverse thing to say, a book about murder, but what I loved about it was being inside Maggie Nelson's mind. I mean, she's so intelligent and she's so scrupulous about trying to unpick her own motives and her own dishonesty. There's a moment when her aunt's first fiancé, the man to whom she was engaged and she was killed, he turns up at court for the trial and he says to her, what have you been doing coming here day in, day out for this trial? She says, oh, I'm doing it for Jane, I'm doing it for my aunt. And then she says, of course I'm not. She's dead. I'm not doing it.
What? 鋪晒啦。
I mean, she's talking I think it is a beautiful book in a way because it allows us to look at tragedy but enlighten it and throw light on it without viewing it as grimness. And what I love about the book as well is when she talks about we are supposed to process things. There's talk about processing things and that you can put them to rest, but maybe that's impossible. And so we have to learn to live with the most awful atrocities. I think that's what I find so special, and she is really intelligent, but she also could be your friend. So there's something.
都唔去打波嗰個。嚇嚇，好多你個 age 喎，唔該。過去玩啦，好唔好啊？過去玩啊？點解啊 ？Why not? You tell me why. Give me a reason. 嚇 ？Give me a reason. 哥哥，你同爸爸講點解你？